Rosemary?
Thanks, Jim. Well, Turkish Prime Minister Tayyip Erdogan is pushing for national unity one day after the governing party won re-election by a landslide. The Islamic-rooted pro-business AK party received almost 47% of the vote, as supporters celebrated in the streets. But the party faces a series of challenges, among them electing a new president. Well, Turkey's secular elite strongly opposed an AKP attempt in April to make a former Islamist president. His nomination sparked massive protests from Turks who feared the AKP was trying to turn their country into an Islamic state. Well, the political crisis cooled down when Mr. Erdogan called for early elections. Jennifer Eccleston is in Istanbul with more on the aftermath of Sunday's vote.
It is a good day for Muhittin Tugay and his extended family. They are Kurds, pious and poor, but their party won Sunday's parliamentary election. The AKP is good. It's for poor people. People like Muhittin helped the Islamic-influenced Justice and Development Party, the AKP, hold on to its majority in Turkey's National Assembly. It reaffirms the mandate of Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan, continuing liberal economic and political reforms, which the European Union demands if Turkey is to join the EU, as it wants.
We'll continue to work to realize our republic's ideal of European Union membership. As before, we'll continue to have our public's interests and requests of change as our guidance.
Erdogan is an observant Muslim. His wife and wives of other senior AK party officials wear headscarves. For them, this expression of faith is a tenet of a true democracy. But liberal leftist parties like the Republican People's Party, or CHP, say it's a symbol of the government's real intention, chipping away at Turkey's decades-old code of separation of mosque and state. But the CHP got just 1/5 of the votes.
This is a total disappointment and not good for Turkey.
Despite the vote, the CHP vows to block any policy altering Turkey's secular and democratic principles. While the CHP did not fare well, it was a good night for the far-right National Movement Party, or MHP. It won a block of seats on a tough anti-terror platform, promising to press for military action against Kurdish rebels in neighboring northern Iraq if cross-border attacks continue. The Erdogan government decided against a pre-election strike on the rebels, and that may be one reason his party won significant support from Turkey's ethnic Kurds.
Workers, women, and youth, you'll be the creators of democracy.
But pro-Kurdish independents did well too. For the first time in a decade, they'll join the parliament in significant numbers. So what's the next step for Turkey's democracy?
For the parliament to form itself. What that means is that for the parliament to meet and organize itself, elect a speaker and a governing board, and then they can start considering problems, including the election of a president.
All right, our Jennifer Eccleston has been covering this story in Istanbul there. Jennifer, no surprise really on the outcome, although a landslide wasn't really expected, was it?
Well, they expected him to get upwards of 40% of the vote, depending on the opinion poll, depending on which newspaper you read, which analyst you spoke to, because everyone seems to have some sort of an agenda when you speak to them here. They imagine that that he would definitely have the majority of votes, that he would retain a fair lead in the parliament, and that he would have no problems putting through legislation. 46, 47%, almost 50%. If he crossed that 50% border, that would have been a major leap in this country, and I think people would be a lot more nervous than they are now.
So Jennifer, give us an idea on what he's going to do now with his great mandate.
Well, he's going to continue the great mandate that he began 4.5 years ago. Economic and social reforms, trying to speed up the entry process to the European Union. He'd like to give more rights to ethnic minorities here in Turkey. He'd like to build bridges, not only with the East, with other Middle Eastern countries that surround Turkey, Iraq, Iran, Syria, also Georgia. He also would like to reach out beyond the European Union to his great ally, he likes to say, in the United States, President George Bush. So he's got a lot on his agenda, nothing terribly new. than what he had in the past 4.5 years, except this key issue of the presidency.